Peace, peace. What's good with y'all? Ephraim here. Today we got a little bit of the rooftop vibe, man. We had to switch it up. And I want to talk to y'all about effortless efficiency. I want to talk to y'all about creating effortless efficiencies. And I say this because, I'm finishing up this in-between stage, man. I'm really about to get ready to hit the road. So I've been moving around, leaving Atlanta and going to my hometown of Buffalo before I make this journey back to Chicago. And today, we wanted to take the circumstance that we're given, and I feel like it's been a theme for me throughout this past week, but also just in general. I've been big on focusing on the essentials and making my life more effortless. And I found that by oftentimes putting in less effort towards what I'm achieving, that actually creates a better result. And it's true efficiency, because the whole point is that we don't want to expend unnecessary energy in the process, right? One of the things that I was actually just reading today was about, the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. And when you think about what that means, it's essentially that 80% of the results that we're looking for, that we expect, it's coming from 20% of the things that we do. And this is usually the 20% of our habits. They even say in business, 20% of your products generates 80% of the revenue. And I've been taking in more of that philosophy of essentially less is more, right? And one of my favorite authors that I talk about, I want to say his name correctly, but I believe it's Greg McNone, something like that, Greg McNone. Shout out him, because he actually wrote the book called Essentialism, and the sequel that he has is called Effortless. Now, this is something that really inspired me, because essentialism in essence is very minimalistic, minimalistic type ideals or lifestyle of focusing on what are the things that we need to prioritize in our life. And I feel like a lot of my favorite philosophies, things that I'm reading, like there's a book also called Do the Hard Things First. I really like that book because it points back to the fact that if I really want to be successful, then I need to think about what is most important to me, right? What is the representation of everything that I want to create in my life? And I need to gain clarity in that ultimately. And so as I've been on this journey, one could say searching, not even just searching for, like, just creating, and I guess analyzing my own life for what is the clear vision. As I begin to do that, it allows me to start to get rid of the trivial many, to focus on the vital few, so to speak. Right? And so I just feel like in the past, maybe growing up, I might know some of the things that are really important to me, right? I might know some of the things that help contribute to my success. Like, for instance, I've always been a musician, right? And I know, like, my creativity is at the top, but I feel in some ways that's always been important to me. It's always been a priority to me. But oftentimes society, it could be family. I had an upbringing, where my mother, she was very supportive of my creativity, but I think it's just how do you put it, like the implication or the idea that, in society, you can't be successful, you can't make a career off of creativity or music. I feel like that was a big thing of the past. That was a reality that many people subscribe to. However, for myself, I know on a level like I can't exist without creativity. I can't exist without being innovative and putting new thoughts out there. So the more that I've actually leaned into my creativity, the more that I've leaned into even my musicianship, it's just like the more blessings that have taken place in my life. Being an artist, again, with Godspell, being Godson, Ito Langston. So many times that I've gotten up and I've expressed that gift of creativity. I've got into writing. I've gotten to like share my writing, my poetry, my thoughts and ideas, and now even getting into the grant work when I've shared that with the world. It's like that's been the things that people gravitate towards. So for instance, like I have 2 projects, and the first one was working with the youth. It was actually, so one of the primary goals of my business is to mentor youth, and really it's education in large part, because it's about giving youth the tools to express themselves and really social emotional expression. So allowing them to tap into how they feel and using music, right, songwriting and music production as a tool to express that and be an outlet. And when I kind of leaned into that, even my mom really helped me with that, because when I started doing workshops in my city, the city of Buffalo, and I started getting into all the schools, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to partner with this nonprofit, Gloria J. Parks, and I'm going to apply for this grant just so I can do a summer program and I can bring other artists around. And we can have 20 of my peers, right? We can all come and be paid to work with the youth in creative expression. When I really focused in on that and I told that story, that was the first project for me that was ever funded. And it's amazing to think about, but that was the first thing that somebody saw value and said, oh yeah, we want to put money towards this because it's building community. It's developing the next generation. And even the second project following that, coming from the same organization, ASI, shout out them, a $10,000 grant for developing more creative work in my city, but now this time with just young artists in general, to where we can collaborate. We do these jam sessions. That was a big thing for me. Economy sessions, where I'm bringing together producers and writers and, singers, poets, and we're just having this moment. We're documenting, we're all going to create something on the spot. And that's so funny to me, because that was those were a couple of the essential moments when I really focused on that. And when I started telling that story, that's when it began to grab people's attention, right? That's when it begins to flow, I'll say energetically, not just energetically and not just attention wise, but financially. And really that financial aspect, I guess, is directly, not even I guess, but that financial aspect is directly tied to the creative energy that we were developing. Just because it's something that people could look at, they could recognize, this is valuable. So I'm expecting even just that in itself. I know I kind of quickly spiraled through a little bit, but that really is the focus for me. That's really some of the clarity that I've had of like, wow, I've always been able to create and develop value, but it came specifically through the things that I didn't always prioritize, if that makes sense, right? I didn't always see oh, just creativity and play and having all these fun moments that I really enjoy. It's really like some of my favorite things that I've done. Some of my favorite moments, some of my favorite things to do, making music, jamming with other people, collaborating, mentoring the youth, having fun and expressing ourselves. I didn't always think like when I was a kid, way back when I didn't think because I wasn't shown, oh, like this is something you can build a brand around. This is something you can make a living, whether it be a business, nonprofit, or just my own personal projects that I get funding for. I didn't know that this is something I can do, like all the time, so to speak, all the time. Because my whole goal, even into becoming Ephraim and like just speaking, even just speaking and expressing myself is still creative. But my whole goal, not even but, and that being said, my whole goal has been to use my creative expression as a tool that just guides my entire life. And meaning now I'm a full-time creator, right? And that's through many lanes, that's through many avenues. That's content creation, but also I'm creating experiences, events for people to enjoy, developing systems, creating intellectual property, grants, telling my story, creating songs, telling my story, narrative, all these things. I mean, music production, just creating moments, emotions, feelings, things that people can connect with. And I feel like we've underestimated as society, we've underestimated how impactful this can be. And we always see it when we think about music. Like, music is so influential, right? And I think it's just that so many people feel like, well, how could that be me? Or why should that be me? And I feel like for myself, as I've really taken the time to hone in on what is that underlying maybe 20% of the moments, the things that I've done, how it's created the 80% of outputs of like just people knowing who I am and such beautiful experiences. As I think about that, I think that in itself shows why it's so valuable. And I'm expecting that y'all get where I'm coming from. I'm expecting y'all get where I'm coming from. And maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just the openness I feel right now. I'm like wide open. I'm literally looking at the world on this rooftop. I should show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all in a second. But yeah, that's really the focus as of now. And I think instead of creating so much friction in my life of like, this needs to look this way, it needs to be a certain way, because that's what I was told, that's how I was indoctrinated and brought up, of like, you have to do this. It's like, no, why not just be creative? Why not essentially go with the flow, of creativity, instead of trying to be like, my life needs to be like this. I need to create in this form or fashion. I need to do what everyone else has done, do what I've been told, stay domesticated in order to be successful. And it's like, nah, the more that I've branched out, colored outside of the lines, been outside the box, that's when I've gotten the best results in my life, quite frankly. So for this reason, I feel like sometimes sometimes it's important, especially for someone like myself, to put in less effort. Instead of thinking I gotta over deliver, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta have this many people, I gotta have somebody support or input, I gotta double what am I saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta double check, nah, man. Just do what we can in the moment, and by showing up and being present. y'all bear with that alarm. Somebody's car is going off. But by being present and making it known what my priority is, I think that's more than enough for me to start to grow and achieve what I'm really meant to. Right. Not trying to do everything, not trying to go in all the directions, but being focused on the, essentials, and the critical few, putting my energy in that direction, doing the hard things first, making sure I'm showing up with y'all in the process, just sharing it with you. And then, doubling up on that. To me, that's purpose in itself, and it allows me to really create the reality that I want to see and that I want to experience. So that's what I've been doing. I've been enjoying all the present moments. And just from that, I feel like my experiences and my quality of life is that much better. So thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tapping in with me. It's been a fun time. Yeah. That's it. That's all I'm going to leave y'all with. If you want to tap in with the music, you already know, economical.univer.se. But for now, I'm going to catch y'all. Peace. Here's the view too, by the way.